Hello, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Introduce myself. My name is Muhammad Irlansyah, majoring in agribusiness with student number D1A1 2054. Here, I want to repeat again the question from the lecturer. We are facing the second half of COVID-19. Some regions have implemented to PPKM, which limits us from going anywhere. Many say that agriculture in rural areas in the spearhead of the resilience of our nation to face COVID-19. Give your opinion. Is the COVID-19 pandemic strengthening the marketing system for agricultural products in rural areas, or is it detrimental to the marketing of agricultural products? First, from the point of view of urgency, agriculture is a sector that supports food security, which will be crucial in times of economic crisis. This is not only limited to survival, but also a matter of people's nutritional intake. The monetary crisis left a generation of children experiencing severe stunting and malnutrition, and this had permanent repercussions. There are two extra considerations that make the urgency of the agricultural sector higher. First, international trade, including the agricultural sector, is being disrupted. Some countries even restrict the export of agricultural products, as reported by the WTO. This makes the domestic agricultural production system crucial. In addition, the COVID-19 pandemic has not shown certainty when it will end. So, the lifting of social restriction, or PSBB, might be delayed. One model from a team of epidemiologists at Harvard University suggests that it may be necessary to implement intermittent national restriction strategies until 2022 to avoid a re-explosion of COVID-19 cases. We must avoid the COVID-19 crisis turning into a food crisis. The second urgency is the high intensity of poverty in rural areas. Maintaining economic activity in rural areas is relevant so that the increase in poverty this year can be reduced. This year, it is predicted that there will be a more severe drought than usual. This adds to the risk of the agricultural sector collapsing beyond the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. All of this has an impact on the relevance and urgency of the agricultural sector to get more attention in handling the crisis. Second, the crisis opens a window of opportunity to revitalize the agricultural sector. The condition of complete isolation from international trade, complete autarky, will test Indonesia's agricultural production system hard and help us identify weak points for improvement in the long-term context. As mentioned above, apart from being an important part of the food supply system in times of crisis, the agricultural sector can become a natural social safety net. The agricultural sector, even in normal times, is still the sector that absorbs the most labor in Indonesia, especially when there is an economic crisis. From the consideration above, it makes sense to open up space for flexibility for agricultural sector activities during this social destruction (PSBB). However, this flexibility requires the following notes. The risk of exposure to the coronavirus in the agricultural and rural sectors cannot be ignored. It is true that the production activities, unlike other sectors, are carried out outdoors in relatively rich areas of land and in high density areas. However, there are several aspects that become a source of vulnerability. Farmers, for example, have an average age in the range of the elderly 40, 45 or 60 years. So they are a vulnerable group and are at risk if exposed to the COVID-19 virus. Second, the solution must be integrative by including the agricultural support sector in special treatment. The most important sectors include the transportation and logistics sector that connects agricultural products to the market, as well as the sectors that transport inputs but raw materials, as well as machines or heavy equipment that are important in agricultural products activities. Third, the flexibility or relaxation of agricultural sector activities during the COVID-19 pandemic will not be of much benefit if demand disruptions are not addressed. Currently, several main commodities are harvesting, with limited demand due to reduced mobility and people suffering from the economy. Prices will be depressed. Maybe that's just my opinion regarding the questions asked by the lecturer regarding the marketing of the agricultural sector during the pandemic. If there is a wrong word that offends the listener, please forgive me. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.